Long ago, when the world was young and the soil still remembered the footsteps of giants, a child was born under a blood-red moon. His name was Nimrod, son of Cush, grandson of Ham, a lineage cursed and blessed by the shadow of the great flood. The elders whispered that his cries at birth shook the earth, as if the ground itself feared what he might become. His father Cush ruled a scattered tribe of wanderers in the land of Shinar, where the plains stretched endlessly and the rivers Tigris and Euphrates coiled like serpents. But Nimrod was no ordinary heir. By age 10, he wrestled lions bare-handed. By 15, he led hunts that left valleys littered with the bones of wolves and bears. His ambition, however, burned brighter than his strength. He dreamed not of beasts, but of empires. "Why do we grovel in the mud?" he asked his father one night, "when the stars themselves could be ours?" Cush, a pragmatic man hardened by survival, warned him, "Pride drowned the world once. It will drown you too." Nimrod laughed, a sound like thunder, and swore to build a kingdom that would outlive the heavens. Nimrod, now a chieftain at 20, stood atop a hill overlooking the floodplains. His people, a mix of hunters, blacksmiths, and former slaves, gathered below, their faces gaunt but eyes alight with hunger for purpose. He raised his spear, its tip forged from meteor iron, and declared, "Here, we will build Babel, not a refuge, but a throne, and from this throne, I will command the sun to bow and the moon to bleed." The crowd roared. They knew nothing of architecture, but Nimrod's will was a force that bent men to its shape. He enslaved rival tribes, conscripted builders, and drained swamps to lay the city's foundations. When a worker collapsed from exhaustion, Nimrod knelt beside him, offering not mercy but a blade. "Die here as a worm," he said, "or rise as a lion. Choose." The man chose the lion. So did thousands more. By the next harvest, Babel's walls pierced the sky. Its ziggurat, a stepped pyramid crowned with a temple to the sun god Shamash, gleamed with stolen gold. Nimrod adorned his palace with the skulls of kings he'd slain, their empty sockets staring at a throne carved from a single oak, a tree said to have sheltered Noah himself. But whispers slithered through the streets. He challenges the gods. What if they answer? In the shadow of Babel's ziggurat, a young shepherd named Abraham tended his flocks. Unlike Nimrod's followers, Abraham scorned the idols of wood and stone. He prayed to an unseen God, one who demanded no temples but asked for hearts unbroken by pride. One night, as Nimrod feasted on roasted boar and pomegranate wine, Abraham stormed the palace. His face, lit by torchlight, was a mask of fury. "Your tower is an abomination," he cried. "Tear it down, or the Creator will reduce your kingdom to dust." Nimrod smirked. "Your God hides in the wind. Mine lives in gold and fire. Who is stronger?" To prove his point, he ordered a great pyre built. Abraham was bound and thrown into the flames, but as the crowd watched, the fire froze mid-blaze. A single rose bloomed in the ashes, unscathed. Abraham emerged, unharmed, his voice echoing, "You cannot burn truth, Nimrod, and you cannot outrun it." The king's laughter hid a shiver of doubt. That night, he climbed the ziggurat alone, staring at the stars as if they were enemies to conquer. "Let him send his wrath," he muttered. "I will build higher." The tower grew taller, its shadow stretching across nations. Nimrod's engineers devised pulleys powered by oxen, bricks baked in kilns hotter than demons' breath, and staircases that spiraled into clouds. Workers toiled until their hands fused to tools, driven by fear or fanaticism. Then, on a day when the sky turned the color of bruised flesh, the curse came. A mason asked for a chisel, but his words spilled out as garbled nonsense. His comrade replied in a tongue no human throat could shape. Panic spread, commands became chaos, alliances shattered. The tower's construction halted as tribes turned on one another, screaming in languages they'd never learned. Nimrod atop his half-finished edifice, roared, "Silence!" But his voice, once a weapon, was lost in the cacophony. For the first time, the king felt fear, not of gods, but of irrelevance. His kingdom fractured into 1,000 warring clans, each speaking a new dialect. Babel became a carcass picked clean by vultures. Years later, an old man wandered the ruins of Babel. Nimrod, his hair white and frame bent, clutched a rusted spear. The people now called him the Arrogant One. One dusk, as hyenas cackled in the distance, a figure approached. Abraham, face weathered but eyes still fierce. "Your kingdom is gone," said the prophet. Nimrod spat, "I'll rebuild it." "You cannot. The world has moved on." The king lunged, but his limbs failed. As he crumpled, Abraham whispered, "Even giants fall. But humility might have made you immortal." Nimrod died at dawn, his body buried in an unmarked grave. The wind scattered his bones, and the rivers carried his name to oblivion. But legends say his spirit still prowls the ruins, howling at the stars he could never grasp. Centuries later, travelers in Shinar hear whispers in the sand, a chorus of forgotten tongues. Some claim it's the ghost of Babel, others the laughter of gods. But the wise know better. It's the sound of human pride, endless and unyielding, building towers in the dark.